I have a question here which wants you to comment on what in Danish is called sidemisbrug. It is as if many of your cases involve people who are in treatment and they do not take any other drugs. They're not chaotic drug users, they don't supplement what they're getting in the program with other drugs. Now, is using drugs on the side, sidemisbrug, a problem indicator, a red lamp? Is it something that influences motherhood, parenthood, or not?
I'll just briefly comment and ask Lynn to comment. I'm often asked about, how common among your patients is marijuana use and cocaine use, and my answer, only half jokingly, is I hope it's not quite as common as among the staff. We live in a society where it is very, very, very common in the best families, in quotes, however you define that, among all social economic groups, it's very, very common to use illicit drugs, marijuana and cocaine and others. President Clinton, President Bush, President Obama, all of whom have acknowledged it, former governor of New York State, the current mayor. I mean, if one says cannabis use is something bad and evil, it would be ridiculous, given these very prominent figures. And yet, there are many methadone treatment programs in America and elsewhere. When they test the urine, if the urine of the methadone maintenance patients shows cannabis, they're threatened with being thrown out of treatment. It's unthinkable. I mean, this is a population being treated for substance use problems. But if they show the evidence of substance use, they get thrown out of treatment, including, as I say, in many cases, when it's marijuana.
I have to say that I do think that I'm uncomfortable answering some of this because I'm a lawyer. That's, and I have gained expertise from doing the cases I've done, from meeting experts, from studying. And I do think it may be that the next people who speak to you ought to be Susan Boyd or Sheila Murphy and some of the people who've done research with drug-using moms, and also the moms themselves and some of their children. I'm sure it would be a very interesting panel to put together here of those parents. I feel like both questions come from a particular, somebody has had a set of experiences with somebody whose drug use is chaotic and out of control, and they've been worried about the kid, or they might have been that kid. And I don't think I can answer it. It helps to answer it as a generalization. I can talk about, some of trying to figure out what my reaction to these issues was when I was first asked to represent people. I don't know that my parents would be defined as alcoholics, probably not. But on occasion, they would have a party and they would get so drunk, they did not remember what had happened the night before. Now, if that night happened to be a night when a fire happened or some other danger happened, they would not have been capable of protecting me. Would I have been better off if somebody at that point came in and took us away because they evidenced that behavior and might evidence it again? Probably not. I grew up next door to a young woman who I believe was sexually abused by a molester in the neighborhood, and seems to be a strong correlation. She ended up being a chaotic drug user with 2 little children who she did not seem to take very well care of. And I would come home from college and, see these kids and be very worried about them. But at least where I came from, and in fact, I remember calling the police and taking the kids away from her, and then realizing what would have happened to them. I now understand what would have happened to them in that system rather than with her parents. So, are they using other drugs? It just keeps coming back to what is that family situation. My own clients, I have not yet seen one whose drug use is chaotic and out of control. I have seen many women who live in such continuous dire poverty. That's the risk. It's not their drug use. And then the focus of everything is on their drug use rather than the poverty.